In this movie, I'll introduce you to Adobe's new cloud documents, which allow you to constantly keep track of your artwork files, meaning that one moment you might be using Photoshop for the Mac, as I am right now. Next moment, you're using it on a PC. And the next moment still, you're using the new Photoshop for the iPad. As long as you save those files to cloud documents right here, then those files will sync to all of your computers and devices and so forth. And so here I am looking at the home screen. If you're not seeing the home screen, notice I can switch back to Photoshop just by clicking on the PS icon, and then you can click on the home button right here to switch back to the home screen. Or you can go over here to the Photoshop menu on the Mac. That's going to be the Edit menu on the PC. Drop down to the Preferences command, which is much lower in the menu on the PC, and then choose General. Or you have that keyboard shortcut of Command-K here on the Mac, or Control-K on the PC. And then notice this guy right here, Auto Show the home screen. If you want to see the home screen every time you close all files, then go ahead and turn on that checkbox and click OK, and then you'll see the home screen like so. All right, now notice by default, you're going to see your recently opened files. And in my case, that includes some PSD files, some JPEGs, and so forth. And then notice this other file format right here, PSDC. So Photoshop Document Cloud. And those are files that are available on the cloud, so they're only going to be there when you have an internet connection. If you want to look at just your cloud documents, then go ahead and click on the words Cloud Documents right here, and you will see a list of documents like so. Now notice these guys that have little clouds on them. That means they're only available online, that you've never opened them on this particular computer. So it turns out I created some of these files on my MacBook Pro, which is a Macintosh device, but it's not this Macintosh device. So if I decide to open one of these images, like this guy right here, that has a cloud icon next to it, you're going to get a progress bar because Photoshop is having to load it remotely. And now I'll press Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac in order to center my zoom. And now if I want to return to the home screen, I can just click on the home icon up here in the top left corner, or because I turned on that checkbox, I can just go ahead and close this file. And then I will see my cloud documents in this case. Again, if you want to see all your recently opened documents, you would switch back to home like so. Now, one of the nice things about working on your cloud documents here is that notice this ... icon. You can click on it and then rename a file. And I mention this because if you try to rename the old-fashioned way just by clicking on the name of the document, you'll actually open the document instead. So we've got a rename option here. What you'll find as you start working between platforms, especially if you're going to use Photoshop for the iPad, is that you have syncing problems. And so what Photoshop's going to do, if it can't sync properly to a specific file, it's going to create another copy of it just to make sure that you're safe. And so every once in a while, you're going to have to clean up things. And then you have this Move To option right here, which allows you to move your artwork between folders in the event you create folders, which I imagine you will over time. And to create a folder in your cloud documents, you just go ahead and click on this little folder icon up here in the top right corner of the screen. Now, another thing I want to show you is that when you click on the Open button, or if you go up to the File menu and choose the Open command, you may end up seeing a different experience than you have in the past. By default, I believe the Open command is going to take you to cloud documents as we're seeing right here. If you want to open a file that's on your computer instead, on a local hard drive, then you need to click on the On Your Computer button right here, and that'll take you to the standard old school open dialog box. All right, I'm going to cancel out. Pretty straightforward stuff. The one bit of advice I might offer is that you make sure and create local versions of your files in any event, because after all, if something goes wrong with your cloud documents, there's a possibility you might not have access to those files. Now, not saying that's going to happen, and I'm sure Adobe's going to do everything in its power to make sure it doesn't. I'm just saying from my perspective, I like to make sure I have local files as well as cloud-based files. And that's how you take advantage of Adobe's new cloud document service here inside Photoshop 2020.